astronauts? Are you ready to be entertained with pointless jibber-jabber and senseless small talk? If so, then you have come to the right place. It's the Todd Cook Show, starring Todd Cook, and featuring music by local and national artists. Now, broadcasting from his garage, here is Todd Cook.
Here we go once again with episode 15 of the Todd Cook Show. I am so glad you decided to listen to me today on this wonderful podcast. I am Todd Cook, and you're listening to the Todd Cook Show. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com is my email address. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com. I've got a good episode waiting for you right now. This episode I'm doing is going to be the best show ever. Oh, wait, did I say that last show? I did, but this time I really mean it. The best episode of the Todd Cook Show will be episode 15. I hope. But anyway, that's my goal. I'm broadcasting live from my garage in Wichita, Kansas. I've got a couple different topics I want to talk to you about today. One is tipping at restaurants. This is a topic that a lot of DJs talk about, but the reason they talk about it is much different than the reason I talk about it. I'm going to get to that in just a short minute. And we got music by Matt Kuzma. Who is Matt Kuzma, you might ask? Well, you're going to find out here in just a few short minutes as well. I got music by him coming up in a little bit. And then I'm going to engage in some potty talk. That's right, potty talk. Now, I know this show is rated G, and some of you might be wondering if I'm going to betray that little claim. Well, you have to stay tuned and find out, but there's going to be a little potty talk coming up here on the Todd Cook Show. Let's get started. I'm ready. I'm ready, willing, and able. So here we go. First subject, tipping at restaurants. And again, this is a subject that a lot of DJs talk about on the radio, but the reason they talk about it on the radio is usually because they've run out of other things to talk about. And it's a very common subject. I've heard it talked about dozens of times by different DJs on different radio shows and on podcasts as well. It's one of those subjects that just comes up quite frequently, and they discuss it at length. But the problem is none of them have the right answer. But I, Todd Cook, I have the right answer on tipping at restaurants, how much you're supposed to tip. I know what the answer is. Now, what they say is it's supposed to be at least 15% of the bill. But I'm here to tell you, no. That's not how you should tip at a restaurant. Here's what I mean. Why is the tipping rate dependent on the size of the bill? That's what they tell you. You look at the bill. If it's $20, $30, $100, doesn't matter. You tip at least 15%. I think that's ridiculous. I'm not saying it's too high. I'm not saying it's too low. I'm saying it should not be based on the price of your meal. And here's why. If you go to a nice restaurant, and me and my wife don't go to nice restaurants very often, or at least not nice restaurants as most of the listeners out there might think of nice restaurants, but we go to like Red Lobster. I'll call that a nice restaurant, okay? I mean, it's not McDonald's, and it's not the $100 a plate steakhouse in New York or Chicago. But Red Lobster's, it could be pricey at times. If you order certain things, it could be very pricey. At least for us lower income families, it could be pricey. But if you go to Red Lobster and say it's me and my wife, we could spend $60, $70, maybe even $80 before we leave the place. And what does the waitress do? The waitress comes to your table, asks you what you want to drink, usually first, and then comes back, brings the drinks to you, asks you if you want an appetizer or if you know what you want to order, takes the order from you, comes back later with the food, puts it on your table, and then she leaves, and then she comes back and refills your drinks, asks you if you need this, if you need that, and she does this periodically, and at some point she comes and starts picking up your plates, asks if you want dessert, and then she leaves and comes back and brings the bill, and that's it. That's if you go to Red Lobster and spend, say, $80 for two people. What happens if you go to Denny's, two people, and you only spend $25? what does the waitress do? She comes to your table, asks you what you want to drink, brings you your drinks, asks you if you want an appetizer, asks you if you know what to order. She takes your order. She leaves, comes back with your food, puts it on your table, leaves, comes back periodically to see if you need refills on your drinks or if you need anything else. Then she leaves and then comes back, asks you if you want dessert, leaves, comes back, takes your plates away and gives you your bill. That's it. So what's the difference between what the waitress does at a more expensive restaurant like Red Lobster or what the waitress does at a less expensive restaurant like Denny's? What's the difference between what the Red Lobster waitress does and what the Denny's waitress does? Nothing. So why does the Red Lobster waitress get more money than the Denny's waitress? Does that make any sense to anybody? It seems to make sense to everybody except for me. It's not because I'm smart. Just I look at things in a little different way, a little more logical, a little more reasonable, with a little more common sense, I guess. That makes no sense whatsoever. Does a lobster dinner, with a baked potato and a side of rice and shrimp, does that weigh more? Is the waitress sweating more? Is her wrist more sore? Is her arm more sore? Her back, her legs? It's just so heavy that she deserves more money because she's wheeling this stuff around and laying it on your table. Does a Coke at Red Lobster or Denny's, does it weigh more? Is it harder to get to your table? No, there's no difference whatsoever. So I always feel bad. Why would I give a Red Lobster waitress more money than I do the Denny's? There's no reason whatsoever. And it's not because I'm cheap. I don't worry about percentages. If I was a man of means, I would tip pretty high probably. I don't know what the percentages is. It doesn't usually cross my mind. There's no reason why a Red Lobster waitress should get better tips than a Denny's waitress. It's not fair to the Denny's waitress. She did the exact same thing as the Red Lobster waitress, and she comes home with less money. And in fact, the Red Lobster waitress is probably getting paid more per hour than the Denny's waitress. So she's even getting more on top of that. It doesn't make sense. Tipping at restaurants should not be based on the bill, on the price of the bill. It's simple. Tipping at restaurants should be based on two things and two things only. One, how good was the service? Did she bring you your food and refills of your drinks in a timely manner? Was she friendly? Was she courteous? Did she ask you questions? Did she offer to help? All those things. How good was your service? That's number one. And number two, how many people did she serve? If it's just me and my wife, fairly easy. If it's me and my wife and both my sons, a little tougher. If it's me and my wife, both of my sons, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, my two brother-in-laws, it doesn't. More people there are. Obviously, she's done a tougher job to keep up with all the refills and bringing all the meals, everything. So those two things: one, how good was the service, and two, how many people did they serve? And it could also the third factor could be how much can you afford to tip? Somebody like me and my wife, there's only so much we could give. Even if the waitress is great, we're not going to lay down $100 bill. It's just not going to happen. And other people, the service, they might be wealthy. They could be millionaires. The service could be great, and they might lay down less than us. So that should factor a little bit in there. But the main two factors are how good was the service and how many people they served. That's all it should be based on. It makes no sense why it should be based on the price of the meal. The Red Lobster lady, the Denny's lady, doing the exact same thing. In fact, me and my wife just went down the street to a restaurant the other day called Jimmy's Diner. There are several of them in the Wichita area. We went down to the one just down the street here. Great waitress. She did a great job. Very friendly. Brought everything in a timely manner. Very courteous. Everything. And if I had the money, I would have dropped a pretty good tip because she did a great job. It was me and my wife and my one son. The other son was at school. Nobody tell him that we went out to eat without him. He might get a little upset. But anyway, it shouldn't be based on the size of the bill, because the size of the bill does not matter. Okay? It's that simple. It is that simple, and I don't know why. And also, waitresses get paid less of a minimum wage. The minimum wage right now, I think, is $8 an hour. It might be different state from state. I don't know exactly what it is. But because waitresses get tips, the restaurant owners can actually pay them a less of a hourly wage. Some waitresses might only be getting $3 an hour. I don't know what it is, but it's significantly less than what the actual minimum wage is because they get tips. And this is another question I've asked myself. And I have a sister who does a lot of, has been a waitress quite a bit. And I was going to ask her how she felt about this. But couldn't you make the argument that the higher tips a waitress might get, the less incentive her boss would have to give her a higher hourly wage? Because she gets an hourly wage plus tips. Well, as the boss finds out, maybe the boss is getting ready, thinking about giving her, a 50 cent an hour raise, but then finds out that she's getting $500 a week in tips. Why would he give her an hourly wage? She's doing better than he ever thought that she would. So by giving tips based just on the price of the bill, and if you tip a lot, couldn't it affect the bosses and how much they're willing to give on an hourly basis? So the whole tipping thing, I think, is it's just a bad system. It needs to be overhauled, or it needs to be rethought. There's no reason it should be based on the price of your bill. It should be based on, like I said, two things: how good was the service and how many people did they serve. That's it. And with that, I'm going to take a short little break. You're listening to the Todd Cook Show, and I'll be right back. Hi, Todd Cook here. Do you like going out on Friday or Saturday nights for some supper and live music, but you're not into the bar scene? Because let's face it, when the alcohol starts to flow, those places can get a little loud and a bit rowdy. Sometimes to the point that it becomes difficult for you to enjoy your food or the music. Do you wish that there was a place that had good food, good music, but a less distracting atmosphere? A place that you can enjoy the food and the music, but still get home at a decent hour? Well, that place does exist, and it's right here in Wichita on the corner of Douglas and Hillside, or 110 South Hillside to be exact. It's called The Kiln. They have live music every Friday and Saturday night, starting at 7 p.m. and ending at 9. The Kiln is a Christian-ran, non-alcoholic establishment that operates solely on donations. And they always have great food and great entertainment. And one of the best parts, you don't need a babysitter. You can bring the kids with you. So for more information, contact Mike through the Facebook page, The Kiln, K-I-L-N, and be sure to check it out yourself this Friday or Saturday night, 110 South Hillside, corner of Douglas and Hillside in Wichita. The Kiln, where they are always glad you came. Okay. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com is how you get a hold of me. Now I'm going to move on to my next subject. First, I got some music coming up by Matt Kuzma, and I'm going to introduce you to him in just a short little bit. You want to stay tuned for that. I got some potty talk coming up, both in this break and in the last break of the show, so you don't want to miss that. Right now, actually, it is time for some potty talk here on the Todd Cook Show. And if any of you out there are worried that I might be breaking my commitment to keep this show rated G and keep it family friendly, you have no worry. I'm not going to talk about anything that's inappropriate whatsoever. When I say potty talk, I actually mean potty talk. And then some of you might be saying, well, I'd rather you talk about something inappropriate than talk about that. That's even more uncomfortable for me to listen to. But don't worry, I'm going to keep it as discreet as possible. But there are a couple subjects that involve bathroom etiquette that I think I need to discuss, because they're discussed ad nauseum over and over and over and have been for years, but nobody makes the point that I'm about to make right now. I haven't heard one person. The only person I heard make this point was myself about 5 years ago in the original incarnation of the Todd Cook Show. And that has to do with this old story of the man versus woman, men versus women, how women say men are idiots, and the only reason they stay with us is because they're married to us. The only reason they put up with our stuff is because they're married to us. This is one of those problems. Women have been bringing this up for years and years and years, and I'm here to tell you they have absolutely no logical reason to bring this up. And that is the old problem that's caused many arguments, supposedly, over the years, the problem of men not putting the toilet seat back down. This is ridiculous. Now ladies, I don't want to get underneath your skin, okay? I don't want to sound like I don't like women. I do like women. But in this case, in this particular issue, you are 100% wrong. And anybody who listens to this show right now and pays attention to what I'm saying and understands the logic that I'm going to place in front of you right now will know that I am right and you're wrong. It's just that simple. Listen, I know that when you go to sit down, if there's not a seat there, that's a horrible thing to experience. And I'm not saying that I imagine that it is. I know that it is because I have done it on more than one occasion. Us guys obviously aren't going to do it as often as you women might, but we do it. I know I have done it. I know other men have done it. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Late at night, you go in there, you're tired, you're not paying attention, you go to sit down, and whoa, it's a bad experience. I get that. But when it happened to me, I did not blame it on the person who was in the restroom before me. Do you understand that? It was my fault. I should have paid attention to what I was doing. How is it the fault of the person that was in there before you? When did we get this idea that men are supposed to, when they're done in the restroom, are supposed to prepare the toilet in case the next person in there is a woman? Why do we have to prepare it in anticipation that the next person will be a female? Or why should we have to prepare it in anticipation of anything? When we're done, we're done. What happens next is up to the person who comes in there next. Right? Doesn't that make sense? Let me give you an illustration. You sitting down where there is no toilet seat because it was left up and blaming it on the man who was in there before you would be like if the man went in there, peed on the toilet seat, and then blamed it on the woman for not leaving the seat up. Would that make sense? Would that go over well with you? I'm pretty sure it wouldn't. Okay? I'm pretty sure that would not go over well with any woman if I peed on the toilet seat and then blamed it on her for not leaving the toilet seat up. Why do we have to prep the toilet for you when we don't? Number one, we don't even know if it's the next person in there is going to be a female necessarily. Now, if it was just me and my wife, or if you're just a man and a husband and there's nobody else in there, actually, it might not even be you next. It could be the same. The guy could go in there, and then before his wife goes in there, he might have to go in there again. Why does a man have to prep the toilet for the woman? Does that make sense? Why does anybody have to prep the toilet for anybody? Makes no sense whatsoever. Right? How can you argue with that? That's simple logic. If I pee on the toilet seat and I blamed it on the woman who didn't leave the toilet seat up, the woman would go crazy. She would absolutely go crazy and wonder how I came up with this logic. But it's the exact same thing when you go in there and sit down and the seat has been left up and you about fall in the toilet and you blame it on me or the man that was in there before you. Does that make sense? So let's end this thing about men not leaving the toilet or not putting the toilet seat down. What should actually happen, and here's the solution, folks. Here's the solution. When you're done in the restroom, whether you're a man or a woman or a child, little girl, little boy, man, woman, doesn't matter. When you are done with the toilet, put the seat and the lid both down. Problem solved. All right, I'm going to play a little song here by Matt Kuzma. Who is Matt Kuzma? Matt Kuzma is a member of my band, or the band that I am in, called Good and Greasy. And the band, we've been around close to 4 years now. And shortly after we formed, Matt handed a CD to me and the other guy that was in the band at the time. It was some stuff that he had recorded, that he had written and produced himself. And I listened to it, and I immediately thought, I got a pretty talented guy in this band. We got us a really talented guy in the band, and I don't think the other two guys that are in the band right now would mind me saying this at all. He's the most talented of the four of us. He plays multiple instruments. He sings, lead, background, writes songs. Very talented guy. And I'm going to play a song from one of the CDs that he gave us that day. This song is called You're Still Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone, and it's by Matt Kuzma. So here you go. Matt Kuzma with You're Still Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone on the Todd Cook Show.
It's me again. You're hard to find. I must have tried your number 20 times. Look real good, that yellow dress, like you're waiting for some special guest. And all those times out on the road, knew that you forever welcome me back home. This is different, you found someone, but you're still gonna miss me when I'm gone. Something's changed, it's in your eyes. You weren't as good as me at telling lies. Fix the locks on your front door. Seems like you don't want me anymore. And all those times out on the road, knew that you forever welcome me back home. This is different, you found someone, but you're still gonna miss me when I'm gone. And all those times out on the road, knew that you'd forever welcome me back home. This is different, you found someone, but you're still gonna miss me when I'm gone. Turn out the lights, go down the shade. Come give me just one kiss for old time's sake. Let's have a drink and act real loose. Let me love you like I used to do. And all those times out on the road, knew that you'd forever welcome me back home. This is different, you found someone, but you're still gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're still gonna miss me when I'm gone. Lord, I'm gonna miss you now you're gone.
You're Still Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone by Matt Kuzma. That song was brought to you by B&B Towing. Have you ever broke down on the side of the road and didn't know what to do? Well, now you do. You call B&B Towing, 316-214-4021, and you talk to Cheyenne Brown, and he will come out, and he will help you. I know this guy personally. I mean, very personally. And he has helped me out of jams multiple times. More times than I like to admit. Sometimes it's been embarrassing situations, and he's helped me out of that jam, and he will help you as well. So if you need a tow, if you need a jump start, if you need a winch out, if you need lockout, if you've been locked out of your vehicle and you need somebody to help you in, if you need fuel delivery, if you got an old clunker car and you need somebody to come and buy it and haul it off, he will do that. Cheyenne Brown, 316-214-4021. He's out of Mulvane, Kansas. So if you're not in the Wichita, Kansas area, it might be kind of hard to get him to drive, all the way to, I don't know, Vermont or something. But he'd probably drive a little ways away from Wichita. But anywhere in the Wichita area or surrounding areas, call Cheyenne Brown, a 20-year USAF veteran, United States Air Force veteran. He's the owner-operator, B&B Towing, 316-214-4021 for all your towing needs. Matt Kuzma, once again, that song was called You're Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone, and I am really glad, and the other two guys in the band are really glad to have him a part of our band. And with that, I'm going to take a short little break here, and you are listening to the Todd Cook Show. I'll be back in just a short moment.
Hi, everybody. Do you live in the Wichita area? Are you looking for a great place for lunch or dinner? Do you love live acoustic music but don't know where to go? Try the Artichoke Sandwich Bar. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and it is a fantastic place to eat and listen to live music. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and what goes better with a sandwich than a cold beer? So look up the Artichoke Bar on Facebook today to find out when they are opened and what musical artist is performing next. They just celebrated their 30th year in business, so you know they're doing something right. The Artichoke Sandwich Bar, 811 North Broadway, Wichita, Kansas, where everything is okie dokie artichoke.
Okay, I am back. I'm going to finish this last segment with a little more potty talk. That's right, potty talk here on the Todd Cook Show. You thought the day would never come when I would stoop so low as to talk about potty talk, but I have done just that. This next issue is another one that I've heard a lot of people talk about and a lot of people seem to have an issue with, but once again, there is no issue there. The issue can be easily resolved, and I'm going to resolve it for you right now. Right here on the Todd Cook Show, I am going to resolve this very issue for you on the Todd Cook Show. And this is not an issue that you never hear about. This is an issue that you hear about quite frequently, as a matter of fact. Almost as much, maybe not as much, but close to as many times as you hear about the men leaving the toilet seat up, you hear about this. And it is people putting the toilet paper on backwards, on the holder. They put it on backwards. Okay, I'm here to tell you right now, this does not need to be an issue, and here's why. There is no right or no wrong way to put the toilet paper on the holder. Now, if you have some weird, unorthodox holder that works in some weird way, maybe it holds the toilet paper vertically instead of horizontally, or some kind of a mechanism or something, it could affect it. But with your standard issue toilet paper holder, the horizontal, spring load it, stick the toilet paper roll on, push it in, snap it into place. With that standard toilet paper holder, there is no such thing as putting it on the wrong way. Some people say, I guess, maybe, I don't even know what the right way is. I guess most people want it to where the roll comes off in the front. Okay? I've lived by myself before in the past, 3 or 4 years without a roommate, nobody, just me. So I was solely in charge of taking care of the toilet paper. And in the entire time I did that, I never once, as I put the toilet paper onto the holder, there was never once do I ever recall having the thought of, am I putting this on right? I would just put it on. So, you got a 50-50 shot to either have the toilet paper come off in the front or for it to come off in the back. You got a 50-50 shot. So I'm sure there were some times I did it where it was came off from the back. There was other times that I did it where it came off in the front. One thing I know for sure is that there was never one time when I was sitting there and I reached over to get that toilet paper and I was confused about how to get it off of the roll. Not once do I ever remember reaching over and thinking, what's going on here? This is on the wrong side. It's on the back. I don't know. Do I need to roll it up? Do I need to roll it down? I can't figure it out. It's like a puzzle. It's like a Rubik's Cube. Not once did I ever have that issue. Okay? I don't know what the problem is with other people, why they want it one way or the other way. It does not matter. Okay? Does not matter whatsoever. I don't know if you get so confused and you start, rolling it too fast and you're pulling it and next thing you know, you're all wrapped up like a mummy with it. What is going on? It's simple. It's a simple reaching over and getting toilet paper is simple. It doesn't matter if it's on the front. Doesn't matter if it's on the back. If it's rolling from the front or the back, doesn't matter. Okay? Why is everybody else having an issue with this, but I don't? Not once have I ever had an issue. Not once have I ever struggled trying to get the toilet paper off of the roll. Are other people having trouble? Why are you having trouble and I'm not? Apparently this is an issue because I've heard this multiple times from different people. Oh, I hate it when people put the toilet paper on the wrong way. And I'm like, I didn't know there was a right way. So there you have it, folks. I have two different issues. The leaving the toilet seat up and putting the toilet paper on the wrong way, supposedly. Two issues. I just solved them both for you. I solved both of these for you. Two problems that society has struggled with for decades and decades upon decades. And I, Todd Cook, have solved it for you. So how about that? Enough of the potty talk. Sorry about the potty talk. Hope nobody was offended by that. There's different kinds of potty talk, and the potty talk I just did, I think was fine for any age person. So once again, folks, by the way, Matt Kuzma, I don't think he has anything on iTunes or anywhere you can get it. If you're really interested in hearing some more of his music, if you contact me at thetoddcookshow@gmail.com, I could talk to him. He'll probably say, yep, I bet you he won't even sell anything to you. He'll probably just give it to you. Or, if you offer him money, I'm sure he'll take it. Whatever you want to do. But I just solved two issues in bathroom etiquette for everybody. And I hope that you continue listening to this show. Next week, I'll be right back here. And I'll talk. You listen.